I want you to try and pull those fingers open and then tell me what happens in this closed fist when you do that.
I use the word contaminated. My kids hate that word.
Today, our topic that we're going to talk about is family, and we're going to talk about that in the context of being vegan and navigating some of those dynamics. And Tina and I were sharing before we started filming that, Tina's spoken about this topic many times. I've spoken about it a little bit, and I haven't really reflected that much on it. So it's as much of a mystery to me as what it is for you watching this as to what is going to come out of this conversation. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, thank you. I used to speak to people who are actually transitioning or thinking of switching their diet into plant-based diet. So I will refine my wording a little bit because we do speak to people who are vegan souls already, but also maybe some of them who are transitioning. But the most important thing that is on top of everything, always, no matter if it's beginning or is it already being vegan for many years, is communication, conversations. And I remember when I changed my diet that my ex-husband asked me if I had a conversation with my kids and telling them why my eating differently, why does my plate look differently, what's going on. And I'm really forever grateful for that observation because I listened to him and I had a conversation with my kids. And it was maybe a couple of months into my diet change. So they already saw that something is happening, but I didn't have the conversation. And what came out of that conversation was something so magical that is still alive. And I will just share, before I say what it is, I will just share how I had a conversation with them. So basically, since it was my decision was coming from the space of the health reasons, I told them that I want to be able to sit with them and be with them for as long as possible, and that I want to be healthy and happy mom and be there for them as long as possible. And then they actually started behaving like little lions, and they are protecting me from any situation, and they were protecting me from any situation that occurred where people were giving some bad comments. And it was so sweet. They were 6 and 9 at that time. And after that, everything started flowing really beautifully because at that time I was still preparing meat for them for meals. But then soon after that came the moments that I mentioned in our first conversation where I just saw the frequency and the energy that is coming from dead meat. And I again had a conversation with them and share with them how I feel. And I said, it is really very hard for me and actually impossible to prepare meat for you anymore. And I will be cooking for you everything, whatever your heart desires. But I just can't prepare meat anymore. And I remember I offered to my daughter to clean the fish that I bought that day from the farmer's market, and they were like these little like sardines. I think they were sardines even. And I said, "Okay, can you please clean this fish now because I really can't do it anymore." And she said, "No." So they didn't have fish that day. Yeah, there is more, but maybe that's for the start to just remind ourselves that we so many times forget to talk with our
Mm,
family, with the loved ones,
mm,
and we think, we assume that they understand, that they get it, that that's normal. And it's actually such a powerful message for everything in our lives.
mm,
For example, when we love someone, why don't we say it every day? And
mm,
then often people say, but it's like they know it. Yeah,
mm,
but it's nice to talk.
mm. Yeah, I say it to my nieces and nephews all the time, and my niece says, "Oh, I know you tell us that you love us all the time." I'm like, great. She goes, we already know. I'm like, great. I want you to know even more than you know.
Exactly, exactly.
It's so beautiful what you said about the children too. Like I loved that story about the children. And I think staying with the theme of children for the moment, I think they're so much more naturally compassionate and understanding of veganism. That's my experience anyway, that they really do understand it so well and so easily. And from my experience is they don't get defensive about it in the same way as what adults can get.
Mm,
And I do a lot of role playing with my nieces and nephews, and they're always pretending that they're, working in a bakery or working in a pizza shop or we're having a cafe. And it's so beautiful because, ever since they were tiny, they've known that I'm vegan. So they always, offer me, would you like a cake? It's vegan. Would you like a pizza from our pizza oven? It's a vegan pizza. It's got vegan cheese on it, and it's so beautiful. And when I go to my sister's house and there's food that's being brought out onto the table, my little nephew will often ask, Mum, is that vegan? And then he'll tell me this one's vegan, that one's vegan. He really
mm,
cares about making sure
yeah.
that I have something to eat and that I know what I can eat. And he's always been like that, actually. And it's so beautiful. And I've really found children to be so open and, just so compassionate, and they
Compassion.
understand. They understand
Mm,
when you say why you're vegan. They get it. They're like, oh, because you love animals and you care about your health and you care about the environment. Like it's natural for them, in my opinion, for them to be really compassionate when they're really little and to have that understanding and that connection. And I think it's, if I go into the vibrational stuff, I feel like they are at such a different frequency because they're so young and so much more innocent and so fresh to the world. And I feel like they're really in tune with their own internal spirit, and so they're like really in tune with other people as well. And they notice things because they are so in tune with everything. And so
mm,
I love what you shared then. And I think, yeah, the more that you can communicate with children, the better, but also the more you can communicate with anyone in your family. And I suppose, sometimes when you do communicate that, you will come up against some friction. But the more that you keep communicating that, then I guess over time, if you do have someone who is defensive, then hopefully over time they can understand that it's not about them. And my example is my brother. He's passed away now, but he was a farmer and he had sheep. And when I became vegan, he got really defensive about that. And it felt like a personal attack to him. And I can understand why, because he was a sheep farmer. And so there was a friction for a while there. And he was always kind of making vegan jokes and saying things, sort of questioning me. And yeah, it caused a bit of tension between us. But over the years, I just kept being consistent in my veganism and didn't say anything to him about anything that he's doing. I just allowed him to be him and I'm me. And I remember one time there was this fundamental shift in the way that he was responding to my veganism. He was doing something with the sheep on the farm, and I was coming over, and he actually texted me and said, I think you should come a couple of hours later than planned because the thing that we're doing at the farm, I don't think that you would like it because you're vegan. And my heart was just like, oh, it felt like a real turning point when he respected that I'm vegan because I'd been just keeping my distance from his sheep farming and not saying anything and just allowing him to be rather than coming up against him and fighting with him because I know that that wouldn't have made any difference. It would have just created more tension. And so I was really grateful for that. And then one time he was telling me, oh, I've got this vegetable stock for you so that we can make a vegetarian risotto for you. And he was sort of like really proud that he bought this vegetable
Mm.
stock, you know. And it over time it evolved and it shifted. And sadly, he passed at a moment where I felt like we were really getting much closer and much deeper understanding with each other. So I never got to see the full extent of how much we could have come together as two people, but it was beginning, and that was so important for me and important for him and important for the rest of the family, you know, that there was that shared understanding and respect between each other that was forming. And so, yeah, that came from communication and it came from respecting and allowing each other to be as we are.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I was also thinking how our choices almost at the beginning can make us like excluded from
Mm,
family or group, but then staying in respect of other people's choices will actually reflect back the same. So other people will respect our choices and it will be actually, yeah, inclusive. It's almost like we, for example, can have completely different dressing styles. Why would we exclude each other if we don't have the same dressing style? So it is really everybody's right to live on this planet. Especially our families are here for many things in
mm,
life to kind of like teach us and to be some kind of, I'm searching for the English word, challenge.
mm,
But I'm happy to hear that you also came to the point where it came to mutual understanding of each other and
mm,
accepting. Yeah, accepting is a really big thing. It is tricky part because it can bring us to the position where we feel that we are almost like superior to other people because
mm,
they kind of like maybe don't get it or why they don't do the same. But it's really important to accept everybody's path. And maybe in this lifetime they will never get there.
mm,
Who knows? And it's
mm,
not on us to decide or to make it faster. And I know that when I work with people and when we talk about the introducing of some kind of a food change into their lives, I always say the first rule is please don't try to somehow convince your family to do the same. You're doing it for yourself, you're not doing it for your family. You can offer food to your family and say, "Oh, do you want to maybe try something that I made, like something new?" Don't say this is vegan or this is raw or like it label it. Just share and people will maybe like it, maybe they won't, maybe they will eat it only once or maybe from time to time, and it's okay. And the most important thing is, I believe, to stay true to ourselves and then just witness how people around us who are ready, when they are ready, to ask us and to crave for the same thing that we have.
mm,
Because, suddenly being so happy or active or free or light, everybody wants that.
mm,
So the time comes. Maybe, maybe not. It's also okay when they say, knock, knock, can I have a little bit of what you have? And that's beautiful to allow individual processes.
mm. Knock, knock. Can I have a piece of that beautiful cake?
Yeah,
Is what's coming into
yeah,
my mind. Because, you know, my
yeah.
dad's a meat eater and my mum's vegetarian and my sister's vegetarian. And like, you know, my mum and my sister especially make lots of nice desserts. And, you know, my dad's sort of this like meat eater, you know, and he's got opinions about my veganism. And yeah, sometimes it's funny because mum will make something or my sister will make something really delicious. And then he'll want some. And then we'll give him some and he'll eat it and say, "Oh, that's really nice." And then I'll be like, "Yeah, it's vegan." And he's like, "Oh, I can eat vegan foods. Oh, I don't have a problem with it." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Sure, you don't. That's not what you were saying yesterday. It's like it suits when it's a nice cake, doesn't it? But I wanted to share something actually. So I'm going to invite you to put your hand like this and close it really tightly. Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And people watching can do this as well, right? So now I want you to get the other hand and I want you to try and pull those fingers open. And then tell
Mm-hmm.
me what happens in this closed fist when you do that.
Resistance.
Resistance. Yeah. It's like I'm trying to force it and it's like it tries to hold on tighter. Okay. Now I want you to get this hand and just like do this and just like
Mm-hmm.
be like,
Oh, it wants to open.
it does. And there's a little piece of
Oh,
vegan chocolate cake inside. You know,
I
that's
love
how
this.
I see life. You know, like you try to force things and people
Mm,
and try to force change. In some ways, it can make people hold on more to their beliefs and hold more onto their things. But when you can be this soft nest and this gentle, energy around someone, they soften and they're more likely and more open to receive what it is that you're saying and what it is that you're
mm,
sharing. And the activist in me wants to, turn the whole world
mm,
vegan. And
mm,
the activist in me wants to, say why. And, there's a part of me that wants to, have my say. But then there's this other part of me that this kind of wisdom part of me that knows that like sometimes this is a way to create change in a different way and it's more peaceful. And I'm not saying what anyone else should do or the way that anyone else should do something. That's not my place to say that. But I know for me, it's important to me to live from a place of things that support my peace. And this
mm.
supports my peace. And I think I've made more change around me in my community and in my family when I've been like this. I feel like people are more receptive and more open. That's my
Exactly.
experience. Yeah.
100%. And this is also where I'm at with everything. And I always say, for example, I can go back a little bit to kids. I always say to people, it doesn't matter, especially if you changed your diet when your kids were already, uh, I use the word contaminated. My kids hate that word, but it's like internal joke also. How can I expect that they will change when I was the one who brought them into the world of meat eating?
Mm,
it's it's not fair,
mm,
and what, like, I can't do that. But what I can do, I can fill the fridge up with all the stuff that is really tasty, that is vegan, plant-based, and trusting, hoping, maybe a little bit knowing that the time will come when they will need to fill their own fridge and go to the supermarket. I mean, they already are, and make this conscious choice of picking whatever there is that are going to eat, and they will start questioning. And
mm,
very important thing is that they have the understanding and knowing of how does it look like when someone eats plant-based.
mm,
So my daughter already very often actually skips meat.
mm,
She's eating less of dairy products. She's also observing how does her body react when she eats something. My son still thinks that he needs a lot of meat. He's 20 and it's okay. What can I do?
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing, I've seen your beautiful food online and I think, wow, if someone's putting this food in front of you all the time, it can't help but make a difference
Mm,
to the way that you want to eat and the way that you see the world. And yeah, I think it's that gentle way of creating change with the people around you because my family's always been really important to me, obviously. But since my brother died, I feel like family has become the centerpiece of my world more so. And so those connections and relationships are really important. And it's important that there is that kind and respectful and compassionate energy between us, regardless of the
mm,
choices that they're making and
yeah.
regardless of the choices that I'm making.
Mm,
And like I said, my sister and my mum are vegetarian. So our family is, pretty diverse in our food, arrangements. We've got people who are fructose intolerant, we've got people who are gluten-free, we've got vegetarian and vegan, and we've got meat eater. So the meat portion of our table is very small compared to all this some other amazing food that we have on the table. And I just do things like sit up the other end of the table, and everyone knows that when they set a table for our family, the meat eaters go down there, and I'm at the opposite end, and everyone else is
Mm,
kind of in the middle. There's ways to navigate that kind of energetic side of it. You know,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
won't wash meat dishes, and I'm very clear about that. But if you give me the veggie dishes, I'll wash the veggie dishes, but I'm not going to wash the meat dishes. You know, so there's
Mm,
ways to sort of like have boundaries around that
yeah,
and have
yeah.
compassion within that, to take a stand, but also to be able to coexist with these people that are really important to us and people that we love and
Mm,
respect.
mm,
And so, you know, I know many people say it's really hard for them at family dinners and family Christmases and all of that sort of things, especially if there's someone in the family who's, you know, mocks you or puts you down. And I think my advice to people like that is this, you know,
mm,
just pull back, and you know, you don't need to defend, you don't need to explain. Some people will put you under a spotlight and make you feel like you have to defend yourself. You don't have to defend while you're vegan. You can
mm.
just be in your power at the other end of the table eating your delicious food, and you don't need to enter into those discussions if you don't want to. You can just say, I'm not having that discussion today, I'm actually going to enjoy
Yeah.
this food right now. You know, we don't need to try and like convince and force and justify our choice. And sometimes just being quiet and in our power and just not allowing those things to affect us is the best thing for us, for our peace, but also for our relationships with other people. And sometimes we just have to recognize that our choices are activating a part of them that
Mm.
potentially knows that we're onto something. You know, and they just don't want to admit
Absolutely.
it. They don't want to admit it. And so it's easier to like to be negative towards us than it is to face their own choices. And that's more often than not my experience with people that are more defensive. It's that they just don't want to face themselves. Even though I'm not saying anything, and my pure existence of being vegan is enough to activate that in them without saying a
Mm,
word. That's
mm.
on them. You know, that's not on us. And I just see those people as people who don't want to take responsibility for themselves. And so they want to push that onto someone else. And I just send them compassion and love,
Yeah.
and allow that energy to wash over them and for me to stay in my power.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. 100%. And I won't repeat because it's 100%. I agree. It's interesting how this summer my brother came here. We have this little family summer house on an island, and he came for a weekend with his daughter. And he said, usually, whenever I go to visit him, because we always go to my hometown where he lives, we go to his home and he's always making food. And my kids love, because he's also heavy meat eater, they just are like always, you know, like talking about what are they going to eat, they're preparing it. And then he always tells me, okay, and you bring your stuff, which I do, and then I prepare. And it's a side dish for them usually, and it's always like a lot of salad. But what I wanted to say is that this time it was very interesting. After 14 years, for the first time, he said, can you make lunch? And I did. And he said, this is amazing. I could eat this way. Only if
Wow.
someone prepares it for me. That was such a like a little win from my
Yeah, it's a
side.
big
And
win.
I didn't say anything. I was just like, nice, good. I can make more if you want. But yeah, as I said, it comes. Maybe not as soon as we expect it to come from other people to change, but it's the same as any move that we like, anything that we want to see in the world. For example, ecological peace. Ever since my kids were small, I used to tell them when they were brushing teeth, I used to like close the tap and say, save the planet.
Mm.
And they say, how can we save the planet if we're only like the two of us? And I said, yes, you and your friends and other people, if we all do it, it makes a
Mm,
huge difference. So it's the same with food. If
mm,
we can only change, for example, your father's or my brother's or my kids' small piece of what they choose on their plate, and if everybody does the same, it's a huge difference.
mm.
So let's not try being absolutistic, is that the word? Like,
It
let's
is
not
now.
try, yeah, it is now. Let's not try and make the change 100% in all people, in all the world, in everything. Let's agree that even a small step makes a huge change. So
Mm,
that would be my always go-to.
mm. Let's sneak vegan food into every single family dinner that we possibly can.
Without saying that it's vegan.
Until they've already eaten it. I'm a bit cheeky like that. I like to say it afterwards. That's vegan.
I also think that the sad part is that the fact that label vegan became very yeah, hard,
Mm,
and it's labeled because all the activism that is not comfortable for people, and um, we can't somehow say vegan that it has a positive charge because it comes with all the other things. But it is true that our side dishes were for like since ever were actually plant-based, and
mm,
it's only the fact that we are labeling it as vegan it becomes more like resist creates more resistance.
mm,
So it's normal for example, in Croatia we have Mediterranean food. We survived on veggies
mm,
and fruits with a little bit of meat or fish.
mm, mm.
So when we say, aha, okay, now I'm eating vegan or this is vegan meal, it was vegan 100 years, 1,000 years ago too.
But you know, in some ways, maybe there's a way to reclaim that by commenting that, like, you know, just in the
Yeah,
everyday, like if someone serves up some, you know, I don't know, a salad or some veggies or some fruit salad, like, oh, this is such a nice vegan meal. Like people, oh, you know, just to make people aware that a lot of the things that you already eat are vegan, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, it's actually not such a out there thing. It's something that, you
yeah,
know, most of the world has been surviving on for most of the time is mostly fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds, grains,
yeah, exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So sometimes there's that way to like reclaim that as well. And I, you
Yeah,
know, like we talked about this the last time, I do think there's kind of the two sides too, because there are a lot of people who, you know, talk about to me and to other vegans about how they only eat meat occasionally and you know how they eat this vegan thing or that vegan thing. So I think there's sort of both things happening at the same time. I think there's
mm,
more awareness and there's more people who are you know wanting to express that they do care about animal welfare. They do care about the environment in that way. So you know, I guess there's always that sort of those two sides at the same
mm,
time. But I think the key message for us today, as we begin to close today's conversation, is how we be around that and how we be around our family and how we maintain our beautiful connections with people that we love, despite the challenges that come up about us and our choices.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Mm.
Is there anything you want to say before we finish up?
Just ending with the word that came to me, and that is just words: compassion and love.
Mm.
And we really need more of that in the world.
Mm.
And yeah, I think we are losing connections more and more with the whole technology, AI, and yeah, just people are getting so far from each other, not just physically, but also emotionally,
Mm.
energetically. So if we share more of compassion and love from our hearts to the people who are different than we are, I think that we are just contributing to the better world. So
Mm.
maybe we can talk about that in our next interview.
I love how you're always at the end. You're like, and maybe our next topic can be like, sure, why not? Absolutely, it can, Tina. Sounds
Yeah.
amazing. So, a future topic would be to talk about when we met and that beautiful experience as well.
Oh,
Just
yes.
popping that in there as a little thought.
I just wanted to thank you for this beautiful hands demonstration.
Mm,
It was very powerful, simple but
mm,
super powerful. It's a great way to embody the feeling
mm,
and to embody the understanding of what it means to fight or to hold.
mm. Yeah, my pleasure. I use it a lot with people. As you know, I'm a holistic therapist, so I use this a lot with people talking about all different aspects of life and
Mm,
what would happen if you were to just go like this with that thing for a moment and just tend to it and create a little nest for it and allow it to, do we
mm,
have to be so about, so many different things. So it's a really beautiful thing that can be, translated across different areas of our life. So I'm glad that you
absolutely.
enjoyed that. Mm,
Absolutely. And
mm,
also towards ourselves, like
mm,
myself. Where am I creating resistance and where am I
mm.
allowing to just create beautiful space holding for myself? So yeah, thank you. I will definitely have it today as a topic to
Yeah.
contemplate about.
Yeah. And I guess I call it too like the softening. It's the softening
Yeah.
because that's like so hard and that's the softening.
Mm.
As we finish today, let's step into a space of softening.
Yay.
Thank you from my heart to yours, Tina, and to the people watching. Feel welcome to share any of your insights around family, veganism, another topic that you'd like us to talk about. We welcome your comments. So thank you. And we'll see you next time.
See you soon. So the intention for today is that we are praying that the technology is going to work and that my mic is going to work and that we will improve our tech appearance, the quality of appearance very soon. We are on it. The intention is just to connect with our hearts, with the strings of light, the purple and the green one that are connecting our hearts and your hearts, and to surrender to the mystery and
Mm,
the unknown. And let's speak from that place and see how the story expands. Yay!
beautiful. Yeah, and I'd like to add as well, speaking with courage and truth, with an open heart and with the most positive and supportive of intentions as we talk about this topic today, which is family. Mm.